Welcome into the booth here at Talladega Superspeedway. I'm Alex Weaver with my favorite crew chief as always, Steve Letarte for NASCAR Inside the Race. Man, oh man, I don't know if we could have predicted this one. I mean, he's been a great car all season long, but Chase Briscoe is officially locked into the championship 4. He wins here, his first ever Superspeedway win, but more importantly, punched his ticket to Phoenix.
Well, what's the magical statement? This is Talladega. I said it this morning in the production meeting. If anyone thinks they know what's going to happen today, they're lying. I've been a crew chief on the box, had no idea what the race was going to look like. I talk to the drivers all the time. They don't really know what it's going to look like. This had a little bit of what we expected, some fuel savings, some pit stops. In the end, it was Chase Briscoe. It could have been really any number of 4 or 5 drivers in those closing laps, but it was Briscoe who got it done. And why not? Keep the hot hand going. And how about Gibbs now? Hamlin and Briscoe through.
Yes.
They have Bell, the next guy in, and Larson, the only other one above the cut lines. We got a lot to figure out at Martinsville. Yeah,
Chase Briscoe obviously is the second Toyota driver, the second Joe Gibbs Racing driver to now lock into the championship 4. So Joe Gibbs Racing now has a 50% chance of winning the championship. We obviously will preview Martinsville. We have our friend Kyle Petty that's going to join us in just a couple of minutes. But this is Chase's 3rd win this season. He's won 3 of the last 18 races after winning only twice in his first 160 starts. I spoke with Chase when it was announced that he was going to this car and going to this organization, coming over from Stewart-Haas Racing. He talked about this pressure. He knew that this was a must-win organization and a championship caliber team, especially hopping into the ride of Martin Truex Jr. But I feel like the statement has been made. Chase Briscoe has fulfilled the checkbox.
So it's interesting because when he won his first, he said that it didn't feel as good as he thought it would because, when you win at SHR, it's such a big win he had at Darlington that time. Nobody really thought it was going to happen. So then when he came back and he won at Gibbs, he said, man, it just didn't feel the same. And I joked about that. The famous line I say all the time is, the best thing about my old job is I had everything there was to win at Hendrick Motorsports. And the worst part was we had everything there was to win.
Yeah.
And I feel that's what Chase had to figure out is that you're expected to win, but don't allow the expectation to rob you of the excitement. That's the magical mix when you drive or crew chief for a high-end organization.
Sure.
Is it's okay to be expected to perform, but then when you do it, you still have to celebrate. If you don't celebrate, this sport will tear you apart. It is too easy to lose. You can't win every week. And he just looks very thankful. James Small and him have found this communication style that works. And let's just be honest, they have fast race cars. They had a great race car today. There was a lot of great race cars. But, when you start winning races like this that maybe you didn't have on your to-do list, that's when it really starts to go to the next level.
It'll be his first championship 4 appearance. He rebounded from a speeding penalty on lap 43, though. So it wasn't easy for the 19. But when we look ahead to Phoenix, Chase Briscoe with Stewart-Haas has won at Phoenix.
Look, I think this 19 car can win anywhere.
Yeah.
So let's just be honest. If we were going to Phoenix right now with all 8 drivers, the 2 Penske drivers would be the favorite.
Okay.
They have the most speed at that style of racetrack. But when I look at Hendrick and Gibbs, I feel it is kind of a coin flip of who's going to figure it out on the right day. But right now, we have 3 Gibbs cars in and 1 Hendrick. So I do believe that going there right now, if the 4 above stayed above, I have it as a dead heat, right? You have Larson, Hamlin, Briscoe. I think Bell maybe would get the nod just because maybe he's shown the most speed there. But it is absolutely I would hate to be the odds maker because I think Briscoe would have to be right there with them. I don't think he's a long shot.
Yeah, so far it's a Toyota-thon for the championship because 2 Toyotas are locked in. Let's bring in our friend Kyle Petty here because I want to hear his thoughts on Chase Briscoe, the young 30-year-old that has punched his ticket into the championship 4. KP, what'd you make of the 19 and Briscoe's effort today?
Yeah, listen, I agree with Steve. I think he went from being a long shot when the season started to do a lot of things to being a favorite in a lot of ways for a lot of people. He has absolutely capitalized on this opportunity. And I agree with what Steve said. Even we saw it from another Chase Elliott a few weeks ago when he finally broke through and got that win. He was incredibly grateful. He knows he's got all the Hendrick stuff. He knows where he's at, but he knows how tough it is to win a cup race and how hard it is to win at this level. These guys just kept putting themselves in the right place. I was fascinated as his post-race where he said, I've never won a super speedway race in anything, meaning the trucks or the Xfinity. And I would have bet dollars to donuts that he had won somewhere because that's the kind of driver he is. But they took advantage of it, and he put himself in the right position and had a teammate, and it worked out. So, listen, going to Phoenix, he's a guy that everybody's going to be watching.
Well, it was 27 liters, which ranked third all-time in a Cup race. Not just at Talladega, in a Cup race period. We have a lot to break down from this race, too. 77 lead changes, ranked fourth all-time in a Cup race. Again, not specific to Talladega. This is fourth all-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. So let's break down this overtime finish because we watched the 5 run out of fuel. Steve, what did you make of this final lap and heartbreak for the number 5?
Well, it started with the Hendrick cars choosing the front row was a little bit of a head scratcher. I could see their argument.
Yeah,
I thought they would have been
same.
nose to tail, but then they got nose to tail, which I thought was a position to be in. Then the 5 runs out of gas. That's easier to do than people think in today's world. I think they know exactly how much they're using. I'm not sure if you know how much is in your car. You don't fill it up most of the day. You just put a little in, keep going, put a little in, keep going.
Still confuses me.
Yeah, so you weigh how much went in. Some goes on the ground, so it can be very, very easy to figure that out or to really lose a few ounces, which is really what I had the 5 car short to come around. And then in the end, look, I think I say this all the time, and I know it's a cliche, but all you really want to be is in the picture. If you come off turn 4 in the front 6 cars, that's a great Talladega.
Yep.
And that's what Chase Briscoe did. What he really did was just get in the right position. He thanked his teammate Ty Gibbs. I would say that, hey, yes, Ty did follow him.
So
he also had him
ironic.
blocked in.
So
That Ty
ironic.
had no choice but to push him. You see Byron spinning there. That was like a 21-point swing for William Byron. A lot happened in the last 5 miles of this race. The 19 just... I don't want to take it away from him. He didn't have to make a magical move. You know what he did? It reminded me a lot of Chase Elliott's win at Kansas.
Yeah.
Right? He went from 10th to 1st
there
by allowing others to have issues.
Yeah.
It's the perfect example of like block and tackle first and see what comes your way. And that's really all he did is he made a lot of the correct moves. And when other people's kind of faltered, he was there to capitalize.
KP, you and I were both laughing at the Ty Gibbs comment. Why are you laughing? I know why I'm laughing.
So I'm laughing at it because a short 4 weeks ago at New Hampshire, he was back glass deep in the wall after Denny Hamlin got tired of messing with him.
Worst
and said,
teammate ever.
Worst
4 weeks
teammate
ago.
ever. What does he not know what we're racing for out here? Christopher and I are racing for a championship. So in a short 4 weeks, he went from the worst teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing to the best teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing. And I want to elaborate on something Steve said too. Chase didn't make a spectacular move to get in that position. That's what's so crazy about this type of racing. In the last 2 laps, in the last 5 miles of this race, it's not what you did as a driver necessarily. It's what other guys did.
Yeah.
The 5 car running out of gas takes the 24 and moves him to a different place. Somebody shifts lines. You get to the front. You don't know how you got there. You were just right place, right time. Hocevar gets behind somebody. Here we see Ty Gibbs on the outside, but we see the 5 car coming to the inside. I mean, the momentum and the energy shifts in 5 miles more than it does anywhere else in any other racetrack. Talladega is phenomenal for watching that. But you've just got to commit and stay committed, and that's what we saw Chase do. He committed to his line. He committed to where he was at, and he was on the right lane. I'm
going to give Ty Gibbs credit, though, because if we just saw it again, at the end of the backstretch, when the 19 goes left, Ty could easily go right because that's when the 34 went. So I'm gonna be glass half full for once, which is rarely where I end up in these situations. But we talk about it, right? So you can't separate them. So Denny Hamlin wrecks Ty Gibbs, New Hampshire, wrecks him out of the way.
He's gone.
And then we go to Kansas, and it's Denny in the 2311, and we talk about more teammates and all that. So I'm going to flip the script on this again. Everybody wants to get on Ty because his name's on the door. They want to get on Ty because his grandfather owns a race team. Well, let's maybe give a little credit to the youngster. Maybe he said, you know what, I'm going to drive like I am, that the grandfather is my own. And I am going to drive like my job is to help my teammates in that situation because while I don't think there was 1,000 choices he made, he kind of got boxed in. Maybe I haven't. Maybe even on TV, I didn't give him enough credit because at the end of the backstretch, he absolutely had a choice.
Yeah.
And it was clear to me that his choice was his teammate, Chase Briscoe, which I've learned over the years that only really drivers know what happened out there. So right here, the 54 can hang a right. There's zero doubt he can hang a right, and the 34 is going to push him, and we're going to be 3 wide to the line.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm going to give Ty Gibbs credit, whether it was dumb luck, a good decision, or whatever it was. If Chase Briscoe thanks Ty Gibbs, I'll give Ty Gibbs a credit. He's going to be there. He's not going anywhere. It's his race team. Yeah. So he might as well be a supporter of it. So you know what? I'm not going to be a glass half full guy. See, y'all tried to pull me down in a glass half empty, but I rose above it.
Write the day down, October 19th.
Yep. Happy
Steve Letarte has changed.
Yeah, write it down. Write it down. I'm going to put it on the wall behind me.
Happy Steve.
I love it.
That's right.
Well, before we get into the whole organization of Hendrick Motorsports, I want to take a listen to the driver of the number 5, who obviously is some heartbreak after what looked like may have been a trip to victory lane and a ticket punch for him to the championship 4. Here's Kyle Larson.
He was very, sure about the numbers that he had in front of him, that we could make it with, flipping the switch where we did. But just unfortunate that it didn't work out there. It started, give me a warning there in middle 1 and 2, and then down the back it started stumbling, so I just got out of the way. So it's I don't know, probably one of the more bummer super speedway finishes I've had, just because we were once again in contention and was right where I wanted to be. But didn't work out. So we'll keep putting ourselves in contention, and it'll eventually work out.
As you look at the standings, you do gain a point to the cut line, but you lose a spot, now sitting 4th. As you look at next week, what kind of fight is it going to be for the 5 team?
Yeah, I mean, you got to assume that, one of them guys is probably going to win below the cut line. They're all really good there. So, then it's kind of got to fight with a 20 throughout the night and try to outpoint him. We've got a decent Martinsville package, as does everybody in the round of 8. So it'll be, a fight. But, even if I didn't win right there, I wish we would have had those 20 spots at least. So, that part of it sucks. But, we executed a great day today, and we'll try to do the same next week.
All right, so can I talk about what happened first?
Sure.
Let's talk about how this happens. So every car down there holds around 20 and a half gallons of gas, call it 20 gallons of gas. In the days of old, every time you came down pit road, you would plug a dump can in and you would fill it up until the fuel ran out the overflow and you knew it was full. Okay. And from that point forward, you just had to figure out how far you could go on that one tank of gas. That's no longer the world of racing in which we live in. First of all, there's no catch can, man. The car vents itself. So you can see some false fulls, right? You can have a bad plug and the fuel can kind of go up in the vent without the car being completely full. The second part is, we saw all day long saving gas to come in for 1,001, 1,002, and out they go. So you also don't get the car full. So anybody who's done any math understands the worst thing in math is some assumptions or variables.
Yeah,
you like to have only one, like solve for X.
Yeah. Well,
the problem in today's world of fuel mileage is there a variable of how much you have in it. There's a variable of how much you put in it. There's a variable of how much you've used. And you add that all together. I know it's crazy, and it's crazy because we don't see a lot of cars run out of gas anymore. We only see leaders run out of gas when they know they're close. I think Cliff Daniels put a smiley face on in our interview. I'm sure he knows other people are listening when he says, hey, we're good for one overtime and maybe a second, right? I don't think he's lying to us, but he's definitely not going to show us all the hand, right?
Right.
And then when he runs out of gas on the backstretch, look, that's how much he needs. Like, that's it. He doesn't need a gallon. He needs that. He needs a water bottle full of gas, and that car makes it back around here. So while it is absolutely an issue and they're going to dissect what happened there, I don't consider, and you know me, I'll call it like I see it. That's not an egregious mistake out of the 5 car. I thought the gamble was real. He came in 35 points above. I think a win and momentum could happen. But let me just tell you, it is way harder. They make it look so easy so often that we don't give it enough credit every once in a while. Hey, look, I run out of gas a lot. I know how it happens. That's how it happens.
Listen, and I learned something talking to you before we even went on air. Basically, what you're saying is that the only time the car is full is when they roll off pit road to start the race. After that, you're just going off of a little bit of an assumption because it's 1,001, 1,002. So that's incredible. So I'm going to say this, and to Larson's stuff and to his interview. Like he said, we're going up there with the assumption that one of those 4 below the line are going to win. And that's good if you want to play that game. But what we're going up there with those 4 guys playing offense and the 4 above the line playing defense. Yeah. They're going to go in there and try to take as many stage points as they can. Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, and Kyle Larson. They're going to play as much defense and keep those guys at bay and keep those guys in sight. Because understand that if the 5 car runs 8th or 9th and all those cars run in front of him but don't win the race, they don't gain any points on him. That's how simple the system is.
It's a points battle. Basically what we have right now, let me give you this is points in a nutshell. The 20 and the 5 are in a points battle against one another because whoever of those two are ahead are going to go to Phoenix.
Separated by
Assuming
one.
somebody wins. And if you don't have a new winner, then they both go.
Yeah.
But if you're Kyle Larson and you outrun Christopher Bell, I can assure you you're going to the desert with a chance to win the championship. If you're Bell and you outrun Larson, you're going. And if neither of the other 4 win, then hey, we're both going. We can carpool. Yeah. But it's like that's
what I like is, but when you look at the points, and I was writing them down. As you look at the points, the guys below the line lost an additional 20. The least anybody lost was 21 points to the line. The line today. When you look at Byron and Logano and you look at Blaney and Elliott, those guys lost more than they were closer last week, as close as they've been. So they are all in a must win when it comes to that part.
Yeah, separating, as Steve mentioned, that battle between the 20 and the 5. It's separated right now going into Martinsville by 1 point.
Right.
So they will be keeping an eye on each other, where the other is running, who's pitting where, what they're doing on the racetrack. So keep an eye on the 20 and 5. But let's circle back to the teammates that Kyle Larson had on the racetrack here, because it was the tale of two halves for Hendrick Motorsports. Because now if we're looking at the standings, the 24 is below the cut line there in the 5th place position, minus 36. But the big uh-oh of the day was on lap 52. There was a multi-car wreck. Chase Elliott was running 6th. He then went to the garage for repairs, never came back out. Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, said, we are done for the day. Heavy, heavy damage. But the 9 pretty much was in a must-win for Martinsville already, given the point situation, unless he would have won here today. But, Steve, hard bet for the 9 going into Martinsville.
This is what makes everybody nervous coming to Talladega. I know Chase said they didn't execute the cycle the best they can, but it's easy to point to. But Chase Briscoe got caught speeding, so that's why he wasn't in this wreck, right? So there is some racing luck that goes into this. The 9 did absolutely nothing wrong. They were doing fine. They were in position, and they got caught up into it. And now you have to go and race. But him not advancing or not going in a must win is what makes making the championship 4 such an amazing year. This is how easy it can go away. And that's kind of how I'm looking at this. I thought the 9, look, the 9's year started very consistent, not fast enough. Then he found a couple wins. He had done, like, if I was there personally challenging them, I feel like they keep stepping up when and where it mattered the most.
Sure.
And now they're going to have to do it one more time in the biggest situation. I think they can do it. Will they? I don't know. But there's no fault of theirs in this situation. This is Talladega. This is what makes everybody nervous that comes here.
Yeah, KP, we've seen multiple drivers who have made the championship 4 by a walk-off win at Martinsville. Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney went on to win the championship after he won at Martinsville to advance. So not impossible for the 9, but a hard task next Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's a really hard task, and this is why. And I think, Steve, that one comment, all of them can do it. We know that the Penske organization can. We know that the Hendrick organization, we know that these organizations can do it. The problem is, right now, Joe Gibbs Racing is as hot as they've ever been. I think when you look at it, they are putting one of their cars in victory lane week after week after week. They're leading the majority of races. They are doing everything at the right time of the year to be able to capitalize on it. So you're going to have to go through three Gibbs cars. If you're going to be the Penske cars, if you're the other Hendrick car back there, you're going to have to go through at least 3 Gibbs cars to win the race. I'm not talking about points. I'm just talking about winning the race. And listen, when we go to Martinsville, my man Denny is he just has something. And we've seen him come from 10th to win this thing when he had tires one time. So I just think it's one of those things where it's just going to be incredibly tough. They can. I'm not going to rule that out because these are top tier teams. This is the cream of the crop. But it's going to be incredibly hard.
Yeah. Alex Bowman, he was just riding around having fun at the end of this race, just really seeing a sunset cruise at Talladega. So that was the 3rd player from Hendrick Motorsports.
Was it an engine issue? I never did get the official
I think it was.
Issue.
Yeah. And then William Byron spun from 5th.
I do think it's interesting. Sorry.
Go for it.
Riley Herbst, really fast in a Toyota, had an engine issue. The 48 had an engine issue. The 51 really fast had an engine issue. You just wonder if people are starting to work ahead. Maybe we start to see some prep. I would if I
trying some things.
Well, yeah, Daytona 500 is right around the corner.
Right here. It's here.
Seeing what they can do for 2026 already. But it was Chase Elliott who finished in the last place position. And then Kyle Larson, obviously, he mentioned those 20 spots. He finished 26th. But William Byron, who had a ton of speed all day today, 25th was his end result. He now is below the cut line in the 5th place position.
Well, 21 spots at a quarter mile.
In a blink of an eye.
A quarter mile is probably being nice. Maybe
blink of an eye.
I mean,
Look
right here. And this is everyone's fear. We talk about it and where their start finish line is. It's past the travel here. It's very different than Daytona. And William Byron lost 21 spots. If we're at Daytona right here, he's at the start finish line. He's not, though, at Talladega. He gets spun off the nose. So, I mean, think about the round that they've had. They've done a regular season champ, hits the 10-car pitting at Las Vegas with a huge impact, and then is in position to win the race. His teammate runs out of gas. He's the next man up, and then he gets spun off the nose of the 77. Not egregious. I mean, you're just pushing. You're not going to lift at that point. But 21 points instantly.
And I'll say that the scariest last laps that you run as a driver, as far as losing positions, is Talladega and every road course you run.
That's
because
right.
all it takes is one mistake, and you've lost 30 positions. It feels like right off the bat on that very, very last lap. So it was worst case scenario for William Byron.
Yeah.
And then finally, we've talked Joe Gibbs Racing, we've talked Hendrick Motorsports, but then the other power player here still competing for a championship, and we'll go to Martinsville, both in must-win positions, will be with Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. So Penske, if they make it to Phoenix, dangerous. I've said this all year. You do not want Team Penske to be running for a championship on Sunday at Phoenix, but
I will tell you, I'm going to have to kind of go back and dissect this one. I thought that Team Penske was kind of doing everything right. They kept showing up at the front and showing
leading
up together.
Laps, yeah.
I question how much fuel they had in before or right after the final pit stop, because then they lost positions. And I don't know if, Joey's very good. He's never going to say, hey, he's not going to blame anyone else.
Yeah.
But it was unlike the Penske cars to lose control of the race when they had it. So I wondered if they had to save a little bit of gas here. And then they both had to pit when the final overtime came out. Right here, it's like they're in position. And I thought they were in good shape, but it just wasn't meant to be. So there's some details of this one I'm not completely sure of.
Yeah, it played out weird. I thought they were in control too, and then Zane Smith created that third lane. And Kyle Larson got to the front and moved down in front of Joey and Blaney, and that inside line just stopped. It just stopped all of a sudden.
That's what I mean, KP. It's like I didn't know if they were part throttle, which I'm fine. I don't have to tell us, but I'm like, man, something wasn't adding up. 2 + 2 was adding up to like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it was weird to watch that as that third lane formed and then came up there, and then as they shifted, the inside lane just stopped. So, it was, and I don't know what happened to Blaney on the last lap. Joey got shuffled back even 2 laps up. I mean, there at the end, probably 10 or 15 positions. It was incredible how they just drove off and left him. But I don't know what happened to Blaney there at the end.
What happened to Blaney?
I don't know. He just came and got gas. So I really no idea what happened to Blaney on that last lap. It's some crazy stuff. Unless he figured he was going to be in a must-win anyway and just got shuffled out. I'm really not sure what happened.
Go ahead, KP.
No. And that you're right. I mean, that's one of those things is, hey, I'm going to be 15 points out. I might as well be 45 out. I'm at a must-win. I got to do something. So, but that's almost what it looked like unless something broke, because we heard talk from you guys all day long how the 22 was having rear end issues or gear issues.
Yeah.
And listen, I heard that conversation. I'm going to always trust my nose before I trust the crew chief, Steve. I'm sorry about that. If I'm sitting in that car and I smell it, something's burning, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
My favorite line of Paul Wolf telling him, like, hey, we don't know what's going on. Joe was like, well, it stinks. So something's going on. But interesting.
I'm reading the radio here, but I don't really see anything obvious out of the 12
Of
either,
the 12?
So, no.
Yeah.
Interesting for me too. Team Penske, I felt like, was at a disadvantage pretty early on because the helpers that they had of the 2 of Austin Cindric, the 21 and Josh Berry, no help on the racetrack. So it was kind of the 12 and the 22 out for each other and helping each other out with nobody really helping them. So will we have a championship 4 without Team Penske? Yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, that's a hot take. KP,
yes
or no?
Blaney's done it the last couple of years, and they can do it. But no, I just don't think. I think third time's not the charm. I think they're too far behind.
There we go.
I just don't see it this year. And like I said, I think that Joe Gibbs Racing is just, and that Toyota is just awesome right now. I just don't think they're going to overcome that.
Well, let's look at some non-playoff drivers that had some chaos today. I first want to start with, we talked about the 9 in this incident. We also saw AJ Allmendinger, who was outside of the race car. Glad he walked away. He was released from the infield care center. I know he said he's going to be sore, but we're just happy that he was able to tell us he was going to be sore after this. So let's hear what AJ had to say following the incident.
All right, it knocked the breath out of me, and then as I stopped it, I felt like the car was catching on fire, so got out and try to get my breath back. Feel okay now. I'll probably be sore. Hard hit from my old body, but yeah, I mean, was proud of our guys. Black Tire Chevy got it up front there, and you know, I kind of make these decisions on after the pit stop, and you get to the front, and maybe we'll go run to the end of the stage, and hell, I think we're leading there. So Joey was doing a really good job pushing me in the right areas, and I felt like we could kind of direct both lines. Obviously, I had Noah next to me, and looked like Noah got turned getting in the corner, and it turned me straight up in the fence. So disappointing. That's why I hate this place, but it's part of this racing. And at least we were up front for a little bit there. Sucks to have it happen so early, but end of the day, I get to kiss Tara and Arrow, and I'll be a little sore. It'll be my excuse when I play Trent on my golf game why he's got to give me strokes now. But other than that, just disappointing. But always expect the worst here and hope for the best. And today we got the worst.
KP, unless your name is Earnhardt or Petty, don't you kind of hate this place as a driver?
You know what? And I think a lot of people do. I do. And we talked about this earlier this week. A lot of people hate it, but a lot of people look at it as opportunity. And the people that look at it as opportunity make the most out of it most of the time. And that is the funny part. Listen, I don't know if his golf guy, if who he plays golf with is going to give him strokes, but I give him bonus points for those shades, man. Because they were 10-10s, man. He had it going on.
Okay, Pete, take me behind the wheel though, right? So we've all had you've all had the breath knocked out of us. But now it's on fire, and there's fumes, and there's like when that happens, are you looking to get out of the car because the air is fresher? Is it better without the belts on? You've been in big wrecks. Not anything doesn't make it feel better, but what's the goal? Yeah. Is the fumes the problem? You just want to get out? Is there no fix and you just have to let it happen?
All of the above, man. All of the above. When you hit like that, when you hit and you get the breath knocked out of you, your head's on your chest, you can't lift your arms, and it's like breathing in a pit. You're just trying to catch your breath. And when the thing finally stops and then it's on fire, there's nothing. And you know it, Steve. You've been around electrical fires and oil fires. The smoke's black. The smoke's thick. You can't tell where you're at. You're in that cockpit. You're hooked up with the air hose to your helmet. You're hooked up with the radios to your helmet. You got your Hans. You got your stuff. And you're still breathing like this. You know what I mean? And you can't get out. And you can't get out. And it's a little bit of a panic factor. It's a little bit of that I got to get away from this. I got to find some air. And when you finally do step out, it's not any better, dude, because you still haven't got your breath yet. And it's a scary moment for a driver when a car catches on fire, because that is your worst fear, is being trapped in a car that's on fire and you can't get out of it. That's the one thing you have nightmares about more than anything else. So I understood when he got out. It's relief that he's out. That's what you feel as a driver too. But at the same time, man, you say an extra prayer tonight and go home and kiss the wife and kids and hug them a little bit deeper. Yeah,
Crazy. For sure. Glad AJ's okay after that. Some chiropractic appointments in his future, I have a feeling. But my most impressive part, KP, you mentioned the sunglasses. It was that he had the breath knocked out of him. There's a fire inside of his race car, and his hair is still
AJ has driver hair. That stuff's unbelievable.
It's just through hurricane force winds. He's still.
Yeah, that stuff don't move, man. That stuff don't move. He puts that stuff on the roof flaps on that car. Yeah, he's got the same kind of gel on the roof flaps, man.
Exactly. Let's also take a look at another non-playoff driver who had some issues coming to pit road, which this is something that I don't see every day. SVG spinning. Not only are you, hey, there's a wreck out in front of you on pit road as you're coming to pit road, but also he didn't collect a single other car. I don't know how we missed the 24 or the 20, but man, oh man, Steve.
Yeah, it was amazing. He ended up saying he got in some water, and we actually didn't see it beforehand, but afterwards, he was absolutely right. There were some seams that were weeping. People are going to point to that, whatever. Everybody had to come through it. I think, we can sit around here for 2 more hours trying to dry every perfect place. I thought it was fine. I thought the conditions were fine. I did hate it for SVG that he got into that water. but everyone else did a very nice job. And it was good to see SVG kind of up there, dicing it up, running through the laps, just gaining more experience. But pit road entry here, man, you got to give everything you have. And it happened instantly. That left rear touched that water, and around he was going.
KP?
Yeah, you know, Burton had an excellent point. Where he kills people on the road courses is in the braking zone. And this is a speedway braking zone. And he was maybe trying to make up a little bit extra. I found it fascinating that, as you said, that he spun and he doesn't get into, he touches the 20 probably a little bit, doesn't get into 24. But those guys behind him, the guys that are straight in, they never check up. They don't slam on brakes. They don't panic. They maintain their distance. And when you watch them, none of them lose any ground when they come on pit road or when they leave pit road. They're almost in the same positions. That was fascinating to me by the group of drivers behind him.
I'd have hit some stuff.
Me too.
I'd have been hitting some stuff for sure.
Me too. I mean, trying to get slowed up and making your way onto pit road, there's 40 cars around you. Yeah, I'm knocking some things out for sure. SVG, I've said it every single week. He's getting better and better on the ovals. So
look out. Poor guy doesn't get any practice.
Look out.
I mean, you know, he gets come down here, he gets one lap of qualifying. He doesn't even get any practice on the oval. So I think his learning curve has been steep, and he's ascended it impressively quick. Yes. Like I think he's only going to keep getting better.
Yeah. And then finally, of the non-playoff chaos that was on the racetrack, this one was also on pit road, but it was coming out of a pit box. It's the second week in a row we're talking about an incident involving Ty Dillon. So KP, as a driver, I feel like you kind of have to know that a tire is going to be near you on pit road, correct?
Listen, when you watch this, the tire is there. The tire's there. Listen, I used to tell Felix when I drove for him in a joking way, I just drive the car. I'm not responsible for it, what it hits. Okay. But Ty Dillon left the pits box thinking I'm not responsible for what this car hits. The tire's there. You've got to avoid that tire because you're going to knock that tire exactly like he did, up under the back of the car into a crew member. That is a no-no. That's a safety no-no. I don't care. I'm not. They didn't call him on anything, did they, Steve?
Oh yeah, safety violation. I will tell you.
Yes.
And I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but Ty, if I'm the crew chief of the 21,
I was going to ask you if
Ty and I are getting ready to have a chat.
Yeah.
And he's not going to do a lot of talking. He's going to do a lot of listening. And if he wants to have it any further, like I'm not okay with that. I know we're racing. And when you go to Martinsville and we go to Bristol and we go to Darlington and it's 4 tires and we're racing for the lead, like I am not trying to discount what racing creates.
Yeah.
This isn't dang racing. We got 7 cars on pit road, barely running for position. Not them specifically. I mean Talladega in general. Like you're coming down, you're fueling it up. This wasn't a green flag stop. We are. I'm not going to say we can lollygag out of the pits, but it was unnecessary. If we can show that replay again, the 10 is deep in his box, way deep in his box.
Way deep.
He could have backed up very, very easily.
Yeah, look
the pit crew member is even there. Look, putting his hand out. Like, hey, man, there's something here. And he just drives through it.
Yeah.
And then I hear the 10 radio about, I don't know why the tire's laying there or whatever. I'm letting you know there's a conversation getting ready to happen here because we could talk about all we want. But there's a crew member underneath there working on the 21 car. Man, it's not cool.
No.
Like, this stuff's dangerous enough. That is uncool. And we're going to have a conversation. I hope that other drivers see this, and it's just a good reminder that there are human beings out there working on the car. We every week, me and Burton go for a drive in the pace car. We bring Diffie with us. Mm-hmm. And every week, and this is where his mind explodes. It's not the track. It's not the banking. We turn off the banking. We set the cruise at 60 miles an hour, run down pit road. And he's like, this can't be pit road speed, mate. This is way too fast. It's 60 miles an hour. Go jog your way out on the interstate and stand in the apron at 60 miles an hour. Like I'm not okay with it. I hate to pick on Ty, but Ty's the guilty one at this point. And now look, what I will give Ty Dillon is I haven't heard the radio while it was happening. So I think they just made a spotter change. Spotter, crew chief, like I believe my job as a crew chief not only was to get the most out of my driver, but it was also to put my driver in the best position to succeed, even when we're not in a winning situation, right? Kyle? Like we all need a little calming, like, whoa, just calm, Yeah. And that whole group needs to have a little reflection there. Like that's not an okay situation.
Yeah. No, this is, for me, this is 2 weeks in a row where communication with Ty and a spotter or a crew chief or whatever has gone awry. And 2 incidents have happened that are bad precedent or bad incidents. Let me say that. And I'm going to say this. And Steve talks about coming down pit road. From the time I started driving, and then when they finally went to a pit road speed and they changed things around, I was a huge proponent for that, because at 15 years old, I carried tires for my dad on his pit stops when there was no pit road speed limit, when there was nothing. And these guys would come off the bank at Daytona and Talladega at 180 or 90, and they would pass you at 140 or 50 going to the other end of pit road. And you're down on your knees changing a tire or picking up lug nuts. It's the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. No joke. So we need to keep those guys safe on pit road at all freaking cost, And something like that is way over the line.
Yeah.
So we haven't heard Ty's side, whether he knew the tire was there, just know the tire. Like, because I will say, I can imagine KP like sitting in there. I'm not sure he can see the tire. Like, I'll be honest. Now, the crew member was helping him, but I'd love to see I'd like to get Paul Harvey on this one. I'd like to get the rest of the story to make sure I understand what happened. But at face value, not good.
Yeah.
But listen, and you're right. We haven't heard from him, and I will give him that part. But when the crew guy is directing you, pay attention to the crew guy. Pay attention to the crew guy.
My dad used to say, "Hey, just pay attention. It's free."
I mean, exactly right.
Regardless of if you see the tire or not,
there's a
human being.
So I would have a different opinion. If we look right here, that 21 tire is 6, 8, 10 feet in the 21. So I have a different opinion. If the 21's back and that tire's sitting on the line, I would be putting some blame on the 21 car. I'd be like, "Hey, man, but look, Josh Berry is pretty deep in his box. The tire is almost touching the rear bumper before it gets hit." I feel like there was a lot of opportunity to avoid that situation.
I agree.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do too.
I agree. If you are the crew chief of the 10, do you want your driver to put out a statement or to say something?
I would, I think the first thing I would do is I would look internally into what was I part of the solution or the problem?
Okay.
Like, because we all make mistakes, right? We're not trying to pick on luckily nobody was hurt in that situation. So I'd be like, man, what was I saying on the radio? Before I have to control the whole race team as a crew chief, but to do that, the first thing you have to do is understand were you part of the solution or the problem?
Sure.
So I would kind of look internally at that. I would circle the wagons, and I would just make sure that as I mentioned, if I was the crew chief of the 21, I'm going to tell you, if I'm the crew chief of the 10, probably sometime tomorrow, I'm reaching out to the 21 and I'm going to let them know. I'd probably like to, if I'm the crew chief of the 10, I'm getting the crew member's name. If I don't know who it was underneath there, I'm reaching out to him directly. I'm encouraging Ty to reach out to him directly. Like, you got to humanize the situation very quickly, because even if you're in the wrong, just don't deny it. Don't try to bury the mistake. Yeah. If you made a mistake, own it. Just say, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry. It was on me," if that's what happened.
All right. Yeah. KP, before we let you go, one last question. Right now, obviously the 19 and the 11 are locked into the championship 4. The 20 and the 5, are they your next 2 in, or do you have somebody winning from below the cut line?
No. Listen, I had the 20 and the 5. Basically, and my guesstimation was whoever came out of Talladega above the line are your 4 going to Phoenix. And that's kind of the way I looked at it, because I thought, 15 points didn't seem like a lot for William Byron, but it's almost insurmountable if you don't go to Talladega and win, or at least gain a bunch of stage points, and they didn't.
Yeah, 15 points with 1 race left, especially at a place like the Paperclip, is it's a lot for me.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm interested to see how fast the Penske cars are. But look, I hope it's a great race and they're leading the race. I hope we get everything we hoped it would be, but it's still just a tall task. Like, look, winning's hard. So yeah, I'm going to take the 4 above.
Yeah. All right, KP, we appreciate you. We'll see you soon, and definitely see you in Phoenix.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
All right, Steve. So we have 2 little segments left here on Inside the Race. The first one, let's do our weekend winners. I'm going to let you go first.
I'm taking Todd Gilliland. It has been. I took that. I'm taking Todd Gilliland, and here's why. We don't have one to give it to, but it didn't work out. It was almost going to be Kyle Busch, because he had a great weekend, but then it didn't quite get where he needed to be at the end. Todd Gilliland's had what I consider a little bit of a down year. I think that Zane Smith's had some high notes. I like Todd. I play golf with Todd. He's a pleasure to be around. I think he's, has a potential to be a star. We just have to get that star type performance. Mm-hmm. And when he was up there controlling the race, and even ended up, I think, finishing second in the official running order. And really front row in general. I know they lost Noah early, but Zane Smith was up there as well. So for a team, we talk a lot about, and I'm not going to dig into the lawsuits and all that stuff, but simply fact, if you're a crew member or a crew chief, there's a lot of distraction around you.
Sure.
So to come down here and put your best foot forward, so for Todd Gilliland to run second, he's my weekend winner.
All right, well, Todd Gilliland is who I had, but I'm going to also go with the names of Carson Osavar, Zane Smith. You just see these young guys and these young talent that are super speedway racing. We hear it from veterans. It is difficult. It is a challenge for guys like Denny Hamlin. And I mean, Kevin Harvick even talked about it before he retired, how hard it has gotten, especially in this car. So to see those young guys really running up front. But yeah, Todd Gilliland, his best Cup finish ever in 142 starts. So TG is my pick as well. All right, let's get into a little Martinsville preview just from myself and the crew chief, because the paperclip had some drama last year at this race.
Yes. So we're hoping we avoid all the team drama. Here's what I have circled. High tire wear. Highs are supposed to be in the 60. The concrete will be very cool. The conversation all weekend will be, will the tire wear improve? I don't feel it will. New tire. Yeah. I think that this is going to go back to a very old school throwback, where there has been runs there where Dale Jr. drove our car. We wouldn't get the wide open throttle for 100 laps because we would save the rear tires. You'll never know it. It's part of the art of running Martinsville. And I hope that's what we get. Look, it's my favorite racetrack. I was fortunate enough to win there as my first race as a crew chief and my last race as a crew chief. There's no race I look forward to more to stand in the booth than Martinsville. I grew up Saturday night short track racing. You don't grow up at these type of super speedways. Yeah. The place is amazing. It's near and dear to my heart, and I cannot wait to see the Vice get turned up and the crowd be there, and it's under the, like, it's just it all kind of happens on Sunday afternoon.
I mean, think about the memories we've had in recent years at Martinsville going into this elimination race for the championship 4. We've had the Hell Melon, right, which was absolute chaos and one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life as a sports fan. Last year was just William Byron, Christopher Bell standing there. Who's going to the Phoenix? Who's going to the championship 4? I mean, it's just always delivered under the lights, paperclip, hot dogs, packed stands.
I know I have the top 4 going, but I will tell you that I don't think it will be determined until like the closing laps.
Agreed.
Like, I think there's drivers below that will be leading, and there will moments they will have control of the race, and maybe they'll be fortunate enough to win their way through. I think what we're really, really blessed with at this moment is when this round started, you and I had this conversation. We have 8 of the favorites through, and 2 have won. And I believe a playoff driver perhaps wins all 3 of the races, right? So another playoff driver wins. I just can't wait to see. It's gonna be great.
I prefer it that way.
Yeah,
playoff driver. I think you should be winning. You should be in championship form.
And you notice none of them said like it would have been easy to be like, Talladega and I lost points. That's not what Chase. Like, they're all up to the. I think they have that winner's mentality. They know they have to win.
And we know Game On is next week, but let's take a look now. Just below the elimination line, you have William Byron, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott. If you were one of the crew chiefs or one of the drivers of that team sleeping over the next 6 nights, what's your thought process?
Well, I think you have to go win. I think you're going to win unless Bell and Larson have a failure, and then it could become a points battle. But to lose 36 points, I just don't see either of those 2 teams losing 36 on the racetrack.
Yeah.
But how you push somebody into a mistake is to push them. So if I'm one of the 4 below, I'm like, all we can do is go there and try to win the race, try to be good enough to win the race. And you know what? At this point, I don't want to say that the pressure's off, but it's almost kind of like it's pretty clear now what you have to do. I think that makes it almost. I think you sleep better, right? I mean, you do this because you race. You do this because you want to race. You love to race. You love to compete. That's part of what happens each and every Sunday afternoon. So there's more on the line, but I don't know if there's really more on the line because these drivers carry that passion to compete each and every week. So we'll have to see who shows up on Sunday with the best.
And then last question, if you're Christopher Bell or Kyle Larson, what's the mission?
So I will say that I would go there thinking I need to win, but always have an eye on the opposite. I think if you're Larson or Bell, if you just outrun one another, then I think you're automatically through.
All right. 1 race left in this round of 8 before we know the 4 drivers that are going to be racing for a championship. We got 2 of them locked in and loaded. Chase Briscoe wins today at Talladega. Steve, what are you previewing this week on Inside the Race?
I'm sure we're going to look back a little bit of what happened here because so much happened in those last 5 miles. But I think we're going to look ahead because Martinsville, as you said, we've had so many great moments at Martinsville. Yep. I think when you look at the points, it could be a little overwhelming to think it's too big of a number. I think we're going to show everybody why you need to tune in because Blaney's done it. Other people have done it. I think it's far from guaranteed who's going to advance, even though I think it's the 4 above. We got 4 great names below.
You never know. We'll head to Martinsville next weekend. But thanks for tuning in to NASCAR Inside the Race. Post Talladega. Hope you enjoyed the biggest and the baddest racetrack on the circuit. Get your stomach ready. We're going hot dog eating next week. We'll see you in Martinsville. Thanks for tuning in.